Yep. Well, I give our young ladies a lot of credit because certainly we had to battle through a lot of adversity and we found a way, and that's the bottom line. And so certainly things that we can learn from and grow from, but I thought our young ladies really responded. Things didn't start off very well for us. I think we were down 7-0, and then thought we found a way to battle back and be resilient. And in the end, there's a lot of things that we can take away from this, and we can continue to work on and improve. Now we need to get as healthy as possible before a big swing. Next week is a big week for us with 3 games in a week again. So, a good opportunity for our young ladies now, at least in one day, to try to heal up and get as ready as possible for a big road trip.
Coach, Isis Bay stepped up big time tonight. What were your overall impressions of her performance?
I think Isis is continuing to improve, and she's someone that, we've seen even during the course of this season find ways to get the ball around the basket and score, and that hasn't been a strength of ours in the post consistently, and she's starting to get more and more opportunities that way. I thought she's someone who is very physical but was smart tonight, because I thought she battled the best that she could, try to take away some actions from Jackson, although it's really hard to do that, and did it without fouling for the most part.
You look at the box score from this game and you see Tana Jackson,
Yeah.
9 for 10 for 20 points, and you think she dominated. But how do you feel that you guys did against her defensively, knowing that that's a tough task?
Well, I thought that I thought there were stretches we did a really good job. And I thought there were stretches where we lost awareness, of where we needed to be. But even when you're doing all the right things, they can kind of pinpoint some passes, and make things happen. But I thought she really hurt us on the offensive glass, and she hurts, I think, everybody in the conference to some extent on the offensive glass. She's averaging 5 or 6. She had 6, and those were big in the second half.
Coach, are you ready to call Isis a three-point shooter?
Yeah, that's right. Let's shoot some more of those. Yeah. Not yet.
What are you thinking when Maddie passes the ball to her there at the end of the second quarter? And then what are you thinking after you see it go in?
Yeah, it was great. I thought Maddie played really, really well. I thought what did she end up with? 7 assists, 2 turnovers, shot the ball well, defended at a very high level. I think she was someone who played every minute of the game. I think we had intentions to get her out, but it didn't really happen. And she's someone who's just really tough. And so I thought Maddie played a great basketball game.
Replacing one starter in the lineup is probably, you've done that a million times in your career, but replacing 2 starters and one of your top minutes getters, you probably have to contemplate your overall rotations. So what was the thought process heading into this? Why did you choose the starting lineup you chose for this game, and what's going to happen moving forward?
Well, we go based upon how things look in practice and how our kids are doing, and and then tried to be as smart as possible with our post kids, of trying to keep them out of foul trouble, because we were pretty limited at that point in time. And so started with Tavi, and I think she got 1, and then Isis, and then she got 1, and then Messiah, and obviously Messiah got hurt doing that, so then it shortened it even more. And so I just think ultimately, our young ladies were really battling, and I thought, even at the end of the game, Tavi was great talking to Isis and encouraging her when she was on the court and doing those kind of things. So,
In all seriousness, I mean, there is kind of a story with Isis and the fact that, she redshirted last year, and then, she's playing sparingly through the first, X amount of games, and then all of a sudden all this stuff starts to happen, and she's had 2 really good games back to back, and so I mean, I'm sure there's a part in that early part where you're trying to keep her motivated, trying to keep her ready, but now all of a sudden you got to play her, and she's stepping up. I mean, what exactly are we seeing there? I mean, and I guess why is it happening the way it has for her?
Well, when the year started, and you go back to even in the spring and into the summer, but if you just go back to the beginning of the season for us, in practices and those type of things, Isis was someone who, really wasn't as comfortable scoring at the rim. And so, she's someone now that is gotten a lot more comfortable in doing that. And she's, learning, she's done a great job of pinning and getting the ball deep and tight to the rim as much as possible. And I thought, how about the one she almost tipped in, or she did tip in, but it was a little bit late. I thought that was kind of a dynamic play. We haven't seen that one out of her, even in practice. I thought that was kind of fun. But I just think she's someone who is continuing to grow and to be incredibly coachable. And I thought, even in the first baseline out of bounds play that we ran, we had an opportunity to get the ball inside to her, and she wanted the ball. We can say all we want in practice. You're open. You have to communicate. You got to help your teammates out there under pressure. And so then, at the next time, that's why you have to communicate. And then the very next time, she was screaming. I don't know what she was even saying. She was kind of jumping up and down, and it wasn't like, "Hey, give me the ball." It was just like whatever it was, and it got her teammates' attention, and she got it down low and scored it because they were switching at that point in time. So her recognition and her understanding is really growing too.
So a lot of that's through practice, right? You've seen the growth throughout the year, but does any of this surprise you at all, though, that what she's doing in the games?
Well, it would surprise us if she's not doing it in practice, and so the fact that she's able to do it in practice, then it prepares you. Hopefully our practices are setting you up to be successful in games. So it's not a surprise because we're seeing that evolution of her getting more and more comfortable and more confident.
The play that Madison makes at the end of the third quarter there, splits two defenders at midcourt, bangs in the three. That just sort of seemed like such a Madison Smith play, and I guess I'm wondering if you agree there, like the awareness of the situation, the ability to execute, even if she does get a little help from the window.
I think we banked two in. I think they had one that kind of got stuck up there on the ledge, the rim a little bit too. But trying to give her some space to operate. And then they were trying to pinch her, and she did a great job. But Aaron on our staff really works with our ball handlers on getting in that situation, getting it really low, and she's done it enough times. She did a great job, got through, and it was a Madison Smith moment. She played a great game. She really did.
Coach, what was going through your mind in the final seconds as Franklin penetrated and you kind of saw her addition to Jackson?
Well, one of the things, we had a foul to give, and so you're aware, and our players could have fouled in that time, but at the same time, you can't foul them while they're in the act of shooting because that's going to be tough. And so I thought we made a good decision not to foul at that point in time because she was penetrating and you didn't quite know, and she can elevate and shoot. And so that we made a good decision, and then I thought she was actually going to shoot it. Honestly, I did. And so, but she dumped it inside. And then you've seen a lot of games where all of a sudden at every level where there's a tip in at the end, there's a short shot and then there's a tip in. And so while we tried to at least contest, it was our only miss of the entire game, right? And I don't even know that we did a good job with that, but maybe the best that we could do because we're not quite as big, But I thought cleaning it up on the backside, and I think it was Kaya who got that last rebound. I'm not positive on that, but it looked like it at that point, and that was a big play.
Sticking with the defense, Jackson obviously 20 points, but she didn't really get the ball that much inside. She only took 10 shots. I think I counted 3, interceptions just from when they were trying to get the ball into the paint. Was that kind of a focus? More disrupting the passing lanes and preventing her from getting the ball instead of.
Well, when you have a couple options, right, and one of them is play behind her, and we tried that a little bit at their place, and then we can come help from different spots. She's a really good passer. The hard part was they got us on some high-low scenarios, and she pinned in the middle of the lane, and so we really tried to be diligent about getting around her, and trying to deny passes to her. But then it's hard because even though you can do everything right, you still may not get to it, and so then you need other players to make plays. I thought we had a couple steals on the pass in from on top. We helped over from the weak side a couple of times. They may have had an errant pass here or there. So our goal was to try to limit her touches to the best of our ability. They got us on a cross screen a couple of times. I think that was in the third quarter with that action before the media timeout, because we were trying to figure out who was setting it exactly and how that action was working. And we're trying to talk to our kids, help us so we can tell you how to guard it. And so that's incredibly efficient. You take 10 shots and you score 20 points. That's remarkable. So once she has it, we obviously have a really tough time guarding her. So our only option is to try to make it tough for her to get it.
Coach, you mentioned, obviously, Kansas got off to that early run. you fight back and you're up 7 at halftime, and JJ hasn't scored a point at that point. So just, how fortunate of a situation it was to be in that situation going into the half.
Well, it's hard for us. It's hard to score if you can't get the ball around the rim and have some kind of easy things going at the rim. With Jackson in the lane, and she played 38 minutes of the game, it's hard because it's difficult to get the ball around the rim. And we got it there a couple of times by some penetrate and dump and those type of things and posting up some different kids and baseline out of bounds. We got the ball there a couple times. So we got a few there, but it's challenging to get it there. So then, you're going to have to make some perimeter shots. And we were fortunate because we were making some of those perimeter shots, and so I thought, there's so much attention on JJ from their entire team, JJ and Maddie, that it's very challenging. And I thought other players had to find ways to make things happen, and we were fortunate that we were able to do that enough. But JJ does a lot for us. She carries us and she handles it, and she does an awful lot for us. So, someone else has to take a little bit of the load one time. We can do that too.
Coach,
Oh, sorry. It seems like Kai has been playing better the last couple of games. Are you seeing something different out of her, or is it just a matter of the ball's going in a little bit more often?
I think she's been a little bit more aggressive. I think she's posted up a little bit more for us. She didn't get any offensive rebounds today, but she had a few in our last contest, and against Iowa State was able to get there. She's someone we rely on so much defensively to make so many things happen, and a lot of them don't always show up on a stat sheet, but she's someone who is really aware of where the ball's at and where to help, and she's a kid that's in help scenarios an awful lot for us. And then a lot of times, it has to also guard a major key kid for the other team. So, she's able to do a lot for us, and I just think she's been a little bit more aggressive.
Coach, in a broader stance, like the bench points really stuck out to me. You guys dominated on the bench points category. How do you think that's indicative of this team's depth?
Well, I thought some young ladies had to step up and make things happen, and I thought we were able to do that, And I thought certainly Isis came in and Sarah came in and made a lot of really good things happen for us off the bench, and we need that. And and now we'll see who we have for the next game, and obviously it doesn't look very good from Messiah's standpoint. That injury looked like that was really, really painful. So, we've got to find ways, and our young ladies have to do their best to recover and be as aware as possible of how to take care of themselves, because it's a grind right now.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.